YouTube, what it do? It is Dundee back with another reaction video. This is a Dr. Umar Johnson interview with I Never Knew TV, and they ask him two particular questions I want to get into my opinion about. And without further ado, let's get into the video.
Welcome back.
Glad to be back. Glad to be back.
Serious thing, right? All right, so we're gonna get right into it. What is this big obsession with, like, this big push of Trump support from black people?
Now the question he asked is very important. What's with this big push with the Trump supporters and black people? A lot of black people being behind Trump all of a sudden. When the man was in office, no go. If you had a Facebook when bro was in office, a lot of our people didn't have too much to say about it. At least not too much nice stuff to say about it. So let's hear Dr. Umar talk about this fact about the blacks behind Trump.
What's going on here, fight?
Couple things. I think the reason why Donald Trump is getting more support from black people, and I would not be surprised if this would be the first election since the 1930s that black people voted more for a Republican than a Democrat. So history might be made in November. History might be made. But don't get it twisted. The black bourgeoisie is on their job and they out there.
So Dr. Umar strongly believes that you may have more people voting Republican this term of voting. So let's see why he believes that.
You see Kamala Harris running around with Fat Joe, I think it was, and some other rappers. They trying to get the rappers that carry the vote for Trump now. So the black bourgeoisie ain't gonna go easy because they know if Trump wins, they're done. No more contracts, no more set aside. You see what I'm saying? Because remember, the black bourgeoisie is only fighting for their own personal stake. They don't care about black folks. And the Democrats, if you can't deliver the black vote, what good are you? So they all going if they lose. They're not fighting for us, they fighting for themselves. Couple reasons why black folks may go Republican in November. Black people may go Republican in November. Number one, I think they're finally getting disenchanted with the Democrats. I think it's finally beginning to seep in. I think a lot of the analyses that are being made by black political thinkers, including myself, I think black people are really starting to see that we've been had. I mean, to have voted this way for 90 years and got nothing out of it, it's time for a change of some sort.
Now, I'm guessing a lot of people may somewhat feel like what Dr. Umar is presenting here. I know I saw in a last comment, in the last reaction I did, talking about Dr. Umar Johnson, people are willing to either go toward his side or either protest. I believe it's because of the so-called history of the Democrats, right? That's pushing that. So just go on and hear what he says.
That's number one. Number two, I think a lot of black people are attracted to Donald Trump's unapologetic disposition. He's very unapologetic. He don't go off cue cards. Completely different from Barack Obama and Joe Biden. You follow me? For a lot of black people, even though he's a racist, he's a breath of fresh air because he says what he wants to say. The entertainment aspect of Donald Trump is winning blacks. Number three, Donald Trump claims to care about the economic state of black America, which he doesn't. But he's openly saying, I'm going to do something about the economics in the black community. He said that the first term and ain't do nothing, right? So he's not going to do nothing, but he's speaking directly.
Very true. It ain't no buts. He's just speaking directly to black people. Dr. Umar Johnson is right. Bro, I ain't finna do nothing for the so-called black race.
To black America where Joe Biden is not. And I think that's why he's going to carry a lot of votes, especially black men. Especially black men, because
which is retarded, because bro basically systematically saying niggas is dumb. Bro didn't do nothing first term for y'all, but yet he able to speak to y'all gonna vote for him, and he systematically know this. I got people talking about voting for Trump. Now I got people talking about voting for Kamala too. Now, but before I get too far in my opinion and how I'm thinking, let's go off his. Let's still listen to what he's saying.
Is the black man's biggest issue earning money. Biden ain't even talking about it. So I do think that Donald Trump, for the first time in almost 100 years, he may carry the black vote. Now, I'm still not voting for neither one of them. And the reason why...
He ain't voting for neither one of them. And the reason why...
is they're both racist.
They both racist, which is true.
Neither one has a track record of helping black folks.
That's true. So-called black people are not being helped by any politicians at that.
Joe Biden got this migrant crisis coming in where he's basically trying to wash out the black with the brown.
Yeah.
And they are making headway. To see him take care of people who are not even citizens while we got...
Yeah, people who not even citizens. And if we were so-called slaves and now we citizens and we still not getting taken care of, if we were so-called slaves, why would we even integrate with a government that made us slaves? Why wouldn't we separate? Why would the civil rights movement even have brainwashed people to integrate with a system that enslaved
homeless blacks, disabled blacks out there, veterans who not get what they're supposed to?
Y'all just gonna make me go on a tangent, but let me just listen to Dr. Umar.
Can't support that crap. To watch him take care of the Native Americans and the homosexuals and the Asian hate bill and all this, and billions to Ukraine and billions.
Exactly, because it's a foreign government. We help foreign people. We don't help indigenous people. We don't help the people of the real, the people of the land with the value. We ain't helping them.
To Israel and not do nothing for me, he can't get my vote. But when I look at Trump, I look at the fact that he signed more death.
And since he ain't, this is why he ain't voted for neither one of them.
Warrants, federal death warrants, his last term than any president since slavery. And when I look at the fact that he wants to give the police complete immunity, they're killing us now. Once they get complete immunity, you can't even question what they did. You know how many black folks are going to die on these streets? So for me...
Right, that's true. Give the police complete immunity and these MFers going to be on site dang there, bro. Come on. And so whoever in here so-called a pale face want to say we want to play victimhood with that, well, I say to solve that solution, we need to be policing ourselves. Another race shouldn't be policing the majority of our so-called people. The majority of our so-called people should be policing ourselves. Fix that. I'm going to tell you my solution once he done telling you the reason he don't F with neither one of them.
I have very strong, compelling reasons to not vote for either, and I don't have a good reason to vote for either. So neither one of them get my vote. I'll probably vote for one of my ancestors or something.
All right, so check this out. Let me tell you my solution about this whole thing. So everybody who want to vote for Kamala or Trump, y'all can be a part of the democracy. Y'all can be a part of the whole system for the foreign government. Y'all can be part with the state. Y'all can do that. Everybody that don't want to vote for either one of them, we going back to a republic. That's what we doing. Shout out to Scoops. Anyway, we going back to a republic. Anybody that don't want any of them candidates, we going back to a republic. We gonna figure it out. We'll do it that way. How about that? Make that make sense for real.
The thing I don't understand with the politics, man, is like, we understand the game, right? But the promises they make, you don't have to have the greatest intellectual capability to understand they can't deliver.
Or will not deliver.
Or will not deliver.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So that's the whole point I don't understand with this commitment, because...
Right. You don't have to have that much intellectual capability. You don't have to have that much to see they not delivering. So why in the MF will we so-called want to be a part of the dang? Why? The civil rights movement, integrate the civil rights. Be a registered voter. If you was a so-called slave, why would you go to the same people that enslaved you for help, bro? Why would you ask them for anything? If you was a so-called slave, why would you ask the so-called people who enslaved you to help you? For real. Let me tell you something. The so-called people there were truly so-called slaves were helped. They were helped because they classified themselves eventually as white people. Yes, the indentured servants that came over here on boats. Not the slaves that came on boats and captives and chains. Chains around their neck, chains around they arm. Yeah, we got chains around our neck and wrists. But it ain't from being kidnapped. It ain't, bro. Let me get to his second question, and we gonna it's probably midway in the video. We gonna get to the second question.
I don't understand how people argue, specifically black people. I don't know how they understand. I don't understand how they argue about politics in this modern day of time, as if like this person's actually gonna help you and this other person's actually gonna help you. And like, if we observe what's going on, even what you said with immigration, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to be Dr. Doom, but fire look kind of rough for black people moving forward, how the system's set. And I don't see these people doing anything to assist. So we may want to come up with another plan outside of walking behind these people and looking for them to...
What I just say, we joining a republic, F the democracy, F both of the birds, F the Republicans, F the Democrats. We going to a republic, how it used to be. How about that?
Do something.
Absolutely.
How about F the corrupt system? How about F this corrupt judicial system? Because that's what people ain't talking about. And I should talk about that YSL Woody. Him being a key factor in exposing the fact about that YSL trial, how dirty the state act and how they do. No one's talking about that. How it's so blatantly obvious what the state is doing to them boys. Oh, but a lot of them, y'all, they portraying the YSL members as actual criminals, when really it's not that. But why would we expect otherwise from this so-called judicial system, right? And let me not go in too much of a rant. Let me let Dr. Umar Johnson finish.
And here's the other thing: the immigrants are here for three main reasons. Number one, to replace us at the polls, even though they're not citizens in many jurisdictions due to election fraud. If you have a work permit, you can damn sure get a voting permit. You follow me? So one of the reasons Joe Biden brought them in here is to aid them at the polls. So they're here to replace us at the polls. They're here to replace us in the labor market. They're going to take all of the low industry jobs. Your Walmart, your McDonald's, your grass cutters, your floor sweepers. They're going to take all that, so it won't be none left for blacks.
They started taking them already.
Yeah. Yeah. And the third reason, and I hate to say it because I don't want to see this, but this is America. I believe that at some point in the future, I don't know how soon, I don't know how distant, America is going to instigate a racial clash between brown people and black people. If you look at Chicago, the brothers and sisters are already talking about it in Chicago. They say the way where they put these migrants at in our community.
Now, technically, he's still on the first point. He ain't moved to that second point I was talking about.
You know, they were telling me how some of the Latino gangs are recruiting.
So we're going to kind of get into this, I guess, the second part of the first point. He talking about it may be a clash between the brown and the so-called black people. Now, these so-called brown people, now if you follow me, which most of y'all know, I probably got like 5 people really rocking with me. The 5 people that's really rocking with me really understand that the so-called first foreigners, when you go all the way back to the 1500s, were brown. Like the so-called Spanish people here today, like the so-called Latinos here today. The darker ones, though, they were brown. The so-called pale-faced Caucasian, this Aryan, what y'all call them? Caucasian, Aryan. I don't know what y'all, caveman, whatever y'all want to call them. Those people came later at around the late 16, 17, and 1800s. But the conquistadors were brown. They were brown, and their successors were my color, right? So, and they were in Europe, bro. The Holy Roman Empire, the people who brought the so-called people who helped take over Americas, starting over there in where Christopher Columbus came first and Amero Vespucci came, these people were brown. So the initial class with the Americas always been brown people and the so-called black race first. The pale faces were in the middle of it all. They came in the middle. So you got the brown, you got the so-called black, and then you got in the middle the pale faces, which came later, which helped conceptualize America to make it seem like they were the ones on that side that came to conquer the ones on this side, the so-called black. So the ones in the middle shifted over to make it seem like they were the brown people, but conceptualized they face and made them pale face. So when you look at people like Christopher Columbus, like the conquistadors, you get these pale faces, but they were brown people because the brown people know that they were brown. They pay homage to them. So the Hispanics, they know their people for real. They know that they brown. We think a lot of those people are white or pale face or whatever the fuck. And we were tricked to, and now this is the clash he's really talking about. These so-called brown people clashing with us. It's always been a clash since they first came over here. It was a buffer put in between that. That was the so-called white man, right? So that's what a lot of people got to understand. This brown race brung the pale faces. The brown race came over here bringing the pale faces. The pale faces were the actual slaves, the indentured servants. A lot of the people Europe was fucking kicking out. I'm ranting. God damn it. I ain't mean to rant that much, but that's your story. History teaches it conceptualized. But let me get into Dr. Umar and let him run into his second point. I'm gonna make this a 30-minute video.
Arming them. They're hurting black people. They beat up one black girl really bad, messed the whole eye up. Nobody went to prison. They said if you look at the writing on the wall, they are arming themselves to one day rise up against us. There was something, this white woman did a report on YouTube where she said a whole bus full of migrants came to Chicago and somebody from the army brought bags full of weapons on there. She said she saw herself. If this doesn't go as quickly as they want it to go in terms of us being replaced by them, they're going to instigate a racial class that will lead to a mass loss of life for black folks because the government is going to stand with them against us. You know, we're going to be seen as the perpetrators. So black people need to get armed. We need to get ready. But we also need to admit that part of this is our fault, though. Because we have pushed this multiculturalism, we have preached this black and brown thing so long that, well, since they're always talking about...
Now I can't say this. Let me end. So he ending off this talking point. A lot of this is the so-called black race fault. It is. It is. I cannot blame the brown skin or the pale face conquistadors or the brown skin foreigners or the pale face foreigners. We really can't blame those people at all. I really don't blame those people, but I do talk about what they have changed to make our so-called lives harder. I don't blame these people, but I am saying this. We have to learn who these people truly are versus who the so-called black man really is. Because your community, which you don't have right now, depends on it. This is what all this stuff boiled down to. And it's probably why I'm speaking about this. Like, everybody knows stuff. I ain't gonna say stuff. Bro, this just serious. For real. It's that serious to the point. It's like, well, y'all talking about protesting. Really ain't. Bro, we really past protesting. Real talk. We really past protesting. We at the point now of separating and starting new governments. Like, on the real. But let me let him finish this.
Black and brown, send the brown people in there. And that's exactly what they did. Because we don't believe in having communities of our own. You know, but with that being said, the biggest reason why black people don't get anything for our vote and never will is our vote is disorganized. In order to hold you the new mayor of Camden, hypothetically, he's the new governor of New Jersey, hypothetically, I can't hold either one of you accountable if we did not vote as a group.
Now,
I have to be able to tell you.
in a way, I can agree, but in another way, I really just don't agree with the system. Period. So, I mean, I kind of can see where he's coming to with this point, because we do vote individually and we don't come together as a whole and make our vote count. Other races do. Other ethnic backgrounds and nationalities do that. We don't. So that does leave us behind. Yet I'm not for the damn system regardless. So I feel like that's not a real solution. I'm going to go and skip and go to the second point, because this video will be 30 minutes if I just let bro talk. Because bro be talking, bro. So give me a real quick second. Okay, fast forward at that. But I mean, that was a good point. But I wanted to fast forward up until this point where they talk about the so-called black men and the black women relationships, and they get into that. And they started off with, I think, black men, but they eventually get into black men and black women and the relationships they got with each other. So let's hear Dr. Umar talk about that real fast.
Hey, have you heard about this thing called decentering men movement?
I haven't. Decentering men. What's that?
All right, so it's a movement. It's been going on. Women choose to focus on themselves and reject the standards of men in their decision making. Right?
These are heterosexual women or
Heterosexual.
okay? Heterosexual women are rejecting.
Oh, I ain't heard it like that.
The standards of men and focusing on themselves.
Yeah.
Who is behind this?
I'm not sure, right?
And the reason I ask is because we know now that
I mean, what I hear about it is the independent movement, feminist movement, modern women. I hear that, but I never heard it put like how bro stated it.
the CIA was behind Gloria Steinem in the feminist movement.
Yeah.
That the CIA.
But that's exactly what it is. It's the feminist movement. That's exactly what it is. The CIA was behind the feminist movement. This is exactly right. This is why the so-called Black Women Act, and it is tied behind women joining the government and getting all the assistance via not having a man in the household, blah, 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 blah.
Early feminism. So I'm wondering if some of this black male-female relationship conflict, I would not be surprised to find out that some of this was financed by the power structure.
And because the people I notice that speak about relationships, and I don't know if you can attest to this, and you know the relationship status of the people who.
So he said it's financed by the power structure. He has no doubt that it is. So definitely agree with that.
Post the shows you go on, they're single, and they haven't been married. So I don't know why they're the voice of marriage and sustainable relationships when they themselves are not in a relationship or haven't been married. But those seem to be those who are leading the narrative in regards to relationships in the black community. So, as I said, I don't know who's funding them.
Very true. A lot of the so-called single women that have not been married are running that so-called realm right now. That's very true.
Who's pushing them, but this disdain women are proclaiming for men and this disdain that men are proclaiming for women is both destructive, but at one point I think it's a psychological tactic that they're using to soothe themselves that they're kind of out of the market and they're spreading this narrative.
See, I agree with that, with the sort of question / statement. I never knew TV, the guy, what he stated. That is very intellectual. To systematically break it down, I'm gonna let Dr. Umar talk real quick, and I'm gonna get my opinion on it.
Great point. I got a couple thoughts. Number one, I think a lot of the people who are engaged on a regular basis in this conflict between the genders come from homes where unsuccessful relationships was modeled by their parents. They came from broken homes. They came from traumatized homes. They came from domestically abusive homes. And I think they carry that pain with them into their adult relationships. And I think that childhood trauma of observing dysfunction was intensified when they actually experienced it themselves in their romantic relationships. I think a lot of them suffer from low self-esteem, where they constantly are ending up with the wrong people because they're too afraid to approach the right people.
Say that again, because
A lot of people are constantly ending up in dysfunctional relationships with the wrong people because they don't have the self-esteem to approach the right people.
Okay, let me talk about that real quick. Now, he's kind of saying it's stemming from the family, from the mom and father who raised the child. Well, I'm saying it stems more, which is true. It does come from home. The second part is society, right? The second part is social class, right? All of these things help shape and mold the child and the parents as well, right? So before the foreign government, before 1776, before a so-called class structure was introduced, the conversation when it comes to the relationship with man and woman, especially black man and woman, was very easier. The conversation existed with other things. It existed with community. The conversation was not had by itself, right? Because it takes a village to raise a child. So you're not necessarily having a conversation about man and woman with just man and woman. No, grandmama involved, granddad involved, everybody in the family is truly involved. Well, what happened to arranged marriages? You see what I'm saying? So I bet y'all like, what bro talking about? See, we don't have a community. We use, especially now, we able to have sex with pretty much anybody. It's how we really roll. It's how we rocking out here. Like, we are too available to another person. We leaving ourselves available to other people when you should have been truly like bonded with somebody and damn near arranged to be with somebody. Real talk. That's a real deep conversation to have on some real level of accountability as a whole, not just as one person. To be honest, because over time, I feel like society helped shape this because we made the decision to involve ourselves in the foreign government. We made the decision to identify ourselves as black. Therefore, we are consciously making the decisions to reinforce degeneracy and the fact that we will not uphold anything stable because we think we black. Being black truly don't hold no real accountability, don't hold no real weight, don't hold no sustainability and being successful in anything. So as long as we call ourselves black African American, which is a misnomer, how the fuck can you be an African and an American? There is no other race named after two continents. Come on, bro. I mean, I can go on and on about this. I don't want to just be ranting because I want to come to y'all with facts, but I gotta put together my presentation genuinely. Until then, I'll be doing reactions to Pan-Africans and people like that of that nature to try to go at y'all and ruffle y'all feathers so y'all can come at me. But until then, I respect the 5 people, 10 people rocking with me. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you rocking with my ideas, hit that subscribe button. Don't be afraid to get in the comments. Tell me what you think about the video. Tell me what you think about my mind. Tell me if I'm crazy, if I'm stupid, wilding out. Let me know. So this is DUNDEE. I'm gonna hit y'all with another one real soon, y'all. Peace.